Both of you guys. Jimmy Butler and the Heat taking on the... Oh, Aaron Rodgers was there. Okay. Halfway through the third. How about this touchdown pass from Kevin Love, J. Will?
I mean, Kevin Love said it after the game. Now, I don't think he thought Aaron Rodgers was in the building, but he said he has the best QBR in New York City.
Oh, no, he told Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, he told Aaron Rodgers.
What's the story?
Yeah, that won't last long. Jimmy Butler at 25 and 11. Jalen Brunson there with a nice bucket. He had 25, but he couldn't make a three the entire day. But then, Monica, here's the moment that could change everything. Watch the right ankle of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Josh Hart, Jimmy Butler get tied up here on just a basketball play. Hart was asked about it post-game. No shade, but obviously he doesn't want anybody to get hurt, trying to do my best to defend. Jimmy stayed on the ground for a bit here. I actually thought that he would not return to this ball game. He did come back to make free throws, and then he just kind of was a statue on the floor.
Yeah, he stayed in as a decoy, and his guys took care of the rest. Gabe Vincent with a three, and Bam Adebayo with a nice spinning hook in here, and he had 16, and the Heat pulling away, and Kyle Lowry, Jay, putting the finishing touches on it for Miami.
I mean, shout out to Kyle Lowry, looking like the world championship Kyle Lowry in Toronto when he has not been this Kyle Lowry for most of the season.
He was credited with 4 blocks. They were actually strips on layup attempts, but he got 4 blocks in this ball game by the stats.
Let me get a very quick take from both of you here. The Jimmy Butler injury feels to me like everything, right? The Knicks played the game without Julius Randle, kind of tough to read, but Monica, again, you know these teams and this series so well. The Butler injury feels like everything, right?
Yeah, I think the Jimmy Butler injury will dictate a ton, because now we're talking about a Miami Heat team that potentially does not have its engine after suffering multiple injuries already to this point in the series. Just as important to me is the Randle industry. The Knicks shot 20% from 3. They will not continue to do that, and Randle's got to get back on the floor.
Again, Miami is playing without Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero already.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's more important than the Julius Randle injury, right? Just because they're already down players already. So, look, this guy is Bane. He is Dark Knight. Like, if he single-handedly can help this team get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, it's the most mind-boggling thing I've ever seen.
Butler, you're talking
about.
Yes. Oh, for sure. But Timmy Legler, I guess my point is, if he can't be great, then to me, the Heat have no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got to be certainly, at 70, 75% at least of himself from the last series going forward at minimum. But I also think, look, I don't know if the Knicks can win this series without getting, a pretty good contribution out of Julius Randle. We just don't know where that's going to go. So even with a limited Butler, it may be enough now that they've got one road win in the bank.
We'll see. Game 2 of that series is tomorrow here in New York. Then they don't play till Saturday, so he'll have a lot of time to rest depending on what happens. J. Will, KJM, ESPN Radio. As we continue, did I mention Curry's average of 32.6 points per game is behind only LeBron James and Kevin Durant? I mean, he just continues to elevate from places that we had never seen before to places we weren't certain he could take it. Again, Legs and Monica with us, and we get Jay Willen over here from KJM. We tried to come up with adjectives this morning off the top of the show, Jay, and we can't do it. How do we describe what Steph Curry did yesterday?
Indescribable. I mean, that's your adjective, right? That's exactly what it is. And, I know after the performance, people say, well, the conversation looming around, is he the greatest point guard to ever play? And what I say is, no, don't diminish his ability like that. He's not in the box. He's one of the greatest playmakers the game of basketball has ever seen. He's a playmaker. And the space he allows himself on the floor allows operating space for his other players. But the degree of difficulty of shots he has, Jalen Rose said it last night perfectly on NBA Countdown. He was talking about a Harlem Globetrotter in 2023. The shot making around the rim, George Gervin Ice, right? Iceman.
Yeah.
You have the three-point shooting, top 2 handles in the league. The game of basketball has never seen a playmaker like Stephen Curry.
Legs, again, because we've almost gotten lulled to sleep by his ability to make threes like we've never seen before. Most of the great three-point shooters have been the great catch-and-shoot guys. Your Reggie Millers, your Ray Allens. We've already gotten used to Steph doing stuff there that we've never seen before. The finishing at the rim yesterday, Legs, almost felt like it was a new frontier. Like, even by his standards, I had never seen him that effective doing that stuff.
Yeah, look, he's sprinkled him in, obviously, many, many nights, right? But to do it the way that he did it all in one game, I don't think we've ever seen the full array the way that we saw yesterday. And that's saying a lot, because this is a guy that I think, for me, historically, if you go and you rank a guy, give him a score from 1 to 100 in the 3 areas of skill in the game, pass, dribble, shoot, Steph Curry is going to come out the highest, right? When you add those 3 up. This is the most skilled player in terms of the 3 offensive areas of the game that the league has ever seen in one body. And you saw all of it on display in a game they had to have to extend their season on the road. But you're right. These finger rolls that he was making, it started with the first one. When he put that first one in on a 3-point play and the ball probably went, 15 feet in the air with contact, with that kind of touch, with one hand on the basketball, you're just watching something that people can't relate to. And then he does it 2 more times later in the game. So you're right, Greeny. As great as he's been, we thought we'd seen it all. He actually gave us something yesterday, even by his standards, that we hadn't.
It's a thing of beauty. He's playing a game unlike any I've ever seen in the 50 years I've been watching the sport, and it is a beautiful thing to watch. That said, and he said it on the court with Lisa was doing the game, where he said the next matchup is a totally different animal, right? You're going from the highest scoring team in the NBA, Sacramento. They want to run up and down the floor with you, to a Laker team that particularly, Monica, since these trades they made around the deadline, are now all of a sudden going to lock you down defensively. So how does everything change, in particular for Steph, as they go forward now into this matchup of LeBron versus Curry?
Well, I think in the last 2 victories that you saw for the Warriors, you saw them take advantage of the small ball lineup for the Sacramento Kings. Small ball, if the Lakers decide to go that way, means that AD maybe is your 5 or maybe Bron is your 5. So first of all, just the size component of this series is going to be very different. What I think every team in the league struggles to defend when it comes to the Warriors is their space and their pace, right? As much as we're talking about Steph finishing at the 3 different levels yesterday, there's the wrinkles in his change of speed, change of direction that are he's able to do that because of how much space that this particular team plays with. And so immediately, I think about guarding Steph. I think about Andrew Wiggins as he continues to get better in these playoff games. And then I think about Draymond Green's assignment in terms of probably bothering Anthony Davis to a degree, but also Kevon Looney, quite honestly, in terms of AD. So you can't, as much as we're talking about Steph, and Klay did not have a signature day shooting in Game 7, but Klay's still right there in terms of his ability to shoot the basketball and what we've seen over the course of the regular season. And so, Jared Vanderbilt, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, like all of these role players that hang their hat on defense, well, congratulations, you are now privileged to guard one of the toughest offenses to guard in the league.
By the way,
it's not going to work.
It's the 6 versus
I don't know
the
how
7.
it's going to work.
It's not
Have I
gonna work.
mentioned that the Warriors are the home court advantage because they're the 6 seed and the Lakers are the 7? Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if their continuity forces you to switch a lot of action, so you end up with being in a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happened to Sacramento.
Who does? Explain that to me. The
Well,
Lakers are in a matchup.
think about
Warriors.
it. So there are times Steph will come up a ball screen, come here, come back, come up a ball screen, come here, come on. That, like, they move around so much. You have to communicate. You need to switch those actions. So you might end up with AD on Steph. You might end up with Rui Hachimura on Klay Thompson. And that's what they take advantage of. Like, so your ability to stay disciplined and stay at home is throw it out the window when you go against Golden State.
Your best bet, right? Obviously, you got to stay as connected as possible, right, Legs? But then I wonder if there's some room for the Lakers' physicality. But the bottom line is you have to stay attached to Steph, Klay, the whole bit. Like, even those guys cutting. Draymond obviously is a terrific passer. I still think Andrew Wiggins is getting better in this postseason.
Jay, I mean, because there's the other side of it, too. It's one thing to say you got to match them because the Warriors can space the floor. The Lakers can play a power game that I'm not sure that Golden State has. And right, they've got Kevon Looney under the basket getting offensive rebounds. But outside of that, I mean, and Draymond, who is it that is dealing with the power of not only Anthony Davis, but frankly, at this stage of his career, LeBron James, too?
Well, there's no doubt the Lakers have an advantage down low on the blocks. That's what they were able to do against Memphis. But the three-point shooting and the spacing and the pace negate that for Golden State. So, Greeny, if you come down, and Legs, you got this, Legs, like come down 2 possessions and you're slowing down the pace of the game, and you get 2 great possessions where you get maybe 2 offensive rebounds, you get a layup, all of a sudden they come down, boom, boom, 2 threes. You're like, well, wait a second, we just got 2 great possessions, but we're still down 6-4. That's what happens when you play against Golden State.
Legler, help me, because, I mean, the Warriors, look, both of these teams, frankly, have been so up and down all year long. There are multiple times that we wanted to write them both off, and now here they are in this situation. But how do you see it? Give us the X's and O's. Steph versus LeBron, Lakers versus Warriors.
This series is going to be decided on the Lakers' defensive end of the floor, and that's why I think the Warriors are going to win the series, because ultimately what they both are talking about is they're the only team in the league, the Golden State Warriors, where defending off-the-ball screens determines how you're going to be able to guard them and the success you're going to have, and that's why it's so difficult, because it's going to force mistakes. If your communications aren't super tight, almost flawless, you're going to get burned by the Golden State Warriors because they are going to make the right read that's going to lead to better action. There's just so much that's taking place that doesn't involve a ball screen. Like most of the NBA offenses now, it's high ball screen or it's an isolation for a player somewhere on the floor. Just not the case with this team. There are so many instances where two guys are coming together, and if you're not communicating it perfectly, they're going to make the right read every single time. And that's why I think this is a totally different animal for the Lakers than the last round, because you're talking about Ja Morant, okay, load up, keep him in front, high ball screen. Every now and then, Jaren Jackson Jr. in the post. That's about it. Everything is predicated off of those two things. That's just not the case with the Golden State Warriors, and that's why I think it's too tall a task for the Lakers defensively.
It's a step up, certainly, in maturity, right? They go